You keep waiting. Waiting for some signal that you're ready. Waiting for confirmation from the world that it's time to begin. That you've earned the right. That you've done enough. That someone somewhere has stamped your application to say, approved. You may now become who you want to be. But no one is coming with that stamp. You scroll through other people's lives and you see polished outcomes. You see the author with the bestseller badge. The speaker commanding the room. The athlete with the lean frame and the gold medal. And you think to yourself, they must have started with more. More confidence. More clarity. More proof. What you don't see is the moment they decided to act as if. The invisible threshold. The moment they stood inside a body that didn't quite feel like theirs yet and said, this is who I am now. You want proof before you act. But the truth is, acting creates the proof. You don't need more time. You don't need another course, another validation, another set of conditions. What you need is to flip one switch in your mind. A simple, mental command. If I were already who I want to be, how would I move right now? That's the invisible advantage. That's the part no one teaches you. You've been conditioned to wait for permission. To not be too much. To not dare to declare who you are until someone else calls you that first. You wait to feel like the real thing. But identity doesn't wait for evidence. Identity creates it. So this is the fork in the road. You can keep walking the path of proof. Or you can walk the edge of becoming. Act as if. Not to fake it. Not to lie. But to build the signal your brain needs to follow. You become what you consistently signal. Your brain is always watching you, asking, who are we becoming? If you slump into hesitation, your brain obeys. If you rise into decision, your brain sharpens. Stand like the person who executes. Speak like the person who no longer hesitates. Move like the person who's been doing this for years. It won't feel natural at first. But that's the point. Because growth is awkward before it's graceful. You won't feel confident, you'll feel exposed. You won't feel successful, you'll feel like you're playing a role. But that's how it begins. Identity isn't a prize you wait to earn. It's a posture you practice. So here's the challenge. Today, pick one micro-decision and filter it through this lens. What would the version of me who already has momentum do right now? Would they scroll or create? Wait or write? Doubt or execute? That's your compass. That's the invisible switch that makes reality bend. Every time you act as if, you rewrite the script of your mind. You anchor new neural loops. You don't just behave differently, you signal differently. And that signal gets repeated. And repeated. And soon, it's no longer as if. It's just you. So this is your moment. To stand straighter. To sharpen your tone. To look the next decision in the eye and say, I am not here to wait for proof. I am here to produce it. You don't need to believe it fully. Just signal it powerfully. The rest will follow. You think it's confidence that fuels action. That once you finally feel sure of yourself, the moves will come naturally. But it's the reverse. Action fuels confidence. And posture, before all else, is what flips the switch. Stand differently, and the world hears you differently. Sit like a leader, and your breath changes. Speak like someone with authority, and your words land deeper. Even when doubt still lurks in your chest, posture overrides it. Because your body teaches your mind. You've forgotten that your nervous system is listening. Watching. Reacting. Every slump, every delay, every time you hesitate to speak your truth, it reads it as danger. It shifts you into defense. But when you shift your physical state, you send a new signal. We're not surviving. We're leading. So do it right now. Sit tall. Shoulders back. Chin level. Eyes forward. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Again. And again. Now decide something. Anything. Decide like you're the version of you who finishes what they start. Who no longer asks for permission. Who doesn't ask, "Am I allowed to want this?" but declares, "I'm here to take it." Feel that? That tension in your body? That's the edge. And it's not there to stop you. It's there to tell you, this matters. You can't wait for the fear to disappear. You can't wait for doubt to dissolve. You have to act in the presence of both. Because real power is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep moving through it. To pick up the pen with shaky hands. To walk into the room with a heart that pounds. To speak even when your voice cracks. Act as if, not to fool anyone, but to form someone. Someone decisive. Someone congruent. Someone who lives in alignment with what they say they want. So what does that mean today? It means you wake up and act before your excuses get dressed. It means you create before you consume. It means you breathe before the world pulls at you. And most importantly, it means you program your identity before the chaos programs it for you. Before 7 a.m., the world is quiet. No one's watching. There is no pressure to perform. This is when you practice posture. Not perform it. Not pretend it. But build it. You sit in the dark and say, "This is who I am becoming." Not someday. Now. You put your phone down and pick up the truth. The truth that confidence is a reward for congruence. The more you align what you say you want with how you act, the more powerful you feel. So start small. Start private. But start boldly. Write something. Say something. Record something. Move something. You do not need to feel like the version of you who is unstoppable. You only need to behave like them long enough for your mind to recalibrate. One decision at a time. That's the posture that makes the difference. That's the beginning of the invisible advantage. You keep chasing outcomes. You think the right result will fix how you feel. That once you get the job, the body, the praise, then you'll finally believe. But belief doesn't come from the result. It comes from the repetition of identity. Your actions today are not just tasks. They are votes. Votes for who you believe you are. And every morning you delay, every commitment you break, every standard you drop, you cast a silent vote for the wrong version of you. But the reverse is also true. Every time you wake up and follow through, even if no one sees it, especially when no one sees it, you strengthen the identity of someone who does what they say. This is how discipline becomes identity. And identity becomes inevitability. So when you act as if, you're not faking. You're forging. You're building neural grooves, behavioral rhythms, muscle memory for a future that becomes your default. You stop saying "I hope" and start saying "I am." You stop asking, "Will this work?" and start declaring, "I work this until it works." That's the switch. You begin to walk like someone with clarity. You move through your home in the morning not as a scattered, rushed person scrambling for control, but as a focused, decisive builder of their future. You don't check messages before checking in with yourself. You don't scroll before you write. You don't react before you breathe. Because you understand the stakes. You know the first hour sets the tone. You know the way you walk to the mirror is how you'll walk into the world. So what does that morning look like? It looks like standing in silence and not flinching. It looks like writing your mission before the day steals your attention. It looks like moving your body, not to burn calories, but to remind yourself you're alive and in command. These are not habits. These are declarations. Rituals that teach your nervous system that you're not hoping, you're owning. Because every day you wake up, you face two selves, the one who hesitates and the one who acts. The one who plays small and the one who expands. The one who waits and the one who decides. Only one of them gets stronger. And it's not about motivation. It's about motion. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's about remembering who you said you'd be when no one's watching. So act as if. Not once. Every day. Every hour. Especially in the moments when you feel furthest from that identity. That's when the forging happens. The invisible advantage isn't talent. It's timing. It's the advantage of doing what others won't when they won't. Of being who others say they'll be tomorrow. But you? You are it now. You walk like it. Write like it. Work like it. Because the result is just the echo of identity. And identity is shaped in the quiet repetitions you choose when no one's rewarding you. Choose now. Vote now. Act now. You don't need to just think differently. You need to feel differently before the world gives you a reason to. Most people wait. They wait for external proof to validate internal change. They wait for applause to feel capable, money to feel successful, or a title to feel worthy. And while they wait, their nervous system stays trained to respond to doubt. But not you. You are done outsourcing belief. You are done depending on proof before taking a step. Because now you understand, you can train your system to hold power before it's visible. That means sitting in stillness and holding a vision your eyes can't yet see. That means walking into a room and carrying posture, tone, and certainty even if no one knows your name yet. That means showing up to your work as if you're already hired, already respected, already operating on a higher level of execution. This is not pretending. This is identity rehearsal. The body doesn't know the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is real. So you rehearse what is not yet true, until your system learns it as normal. You breathe like the future version of yourself. You stand like them. You choose like them. You say no like them. And each repetition rewires something invisible. Until one day, the version you were faking becomes the only version you know how to be. You are no longer practicing. You are becoming. This is how you train your default under pressure. Because it's easy to act confident when it's quiet, when you're alone, when you're motivated. But discipline isn't tested in silence. It's tested in noise. When the stress spikes. When someone doubts you. When results are delayed. And if you haven't trained your nervous system to return to stillness in those moments, you will spiral. So you practice early. Before the chaos. You sit each morning not to meditate, but to recalibrate. To show your system what calm under pressure feels like. You rehearse the voice tone that doesn't tremble. You rehearse the eye contact that doesn't break. You rehearse the decisions that don't need approval. And through that, you build identity integrity. Meaning, the outside matches the inside. The body matches the mission. The reaction matches the role. You are no longer misaligned. You are no longer wondering if you belong in the room. You are the room. That's the shift. When you train your nervous system for power, the world becomes less about outcomes and more about resonance. You stop chasing energy. You become it. So now, before the world rushes in, before your feed opens, before the notifications light up, before anyone else's voice gets to you, you choose stillness. Not to escape, but to embody. Not to hide, but to anchor. You wake up early because discipline starts in silence. And identity is loudest when no one else is speaking. So rehearse it. Sit in the identity you're building, not the doubt you've inherited. Your system will follow. And soon, doubt won't feel familiar anymore. You are always making decisions. Every minute. Every moment. But here's the truth, most of those decisions are made by your past. The version of you that hesitated. The one that played it safe. The one that needed permission before motion. But not anymore. Because starting today, you switch the decision maker. No more letting the version of you built on fear hold the wheel. You promote your future self to the command seat. The one with clarity. The one with commitment. The one who knows where you're going. You ask a different question before every action. What would the version of me who already has what I want do next? Would they scroll? Would they shrink? Would they doubt? No. They would move. They would send the message. They would press publish. They would show up on camera, in the room, at the table, without apology. And so do you. Every day, you carve a trail of identity through small, intentional acts. Every time you choose as your future self, you speed up alignment. Most people slow their progress by asking the wrong questions. They ask, what do I feel like doing? But feelings shift like wind. You ask, what would the committed version of me do right now? And you do that. Even if your hands shake. Even if no one claps. Even if the result isn't instant. Because the act itself is proof. Proof to your brain. Proof to your body. Proof to your belief. This is how you become unstoppable, by taking the identity of the destination and using it as your map. Let's go deeper. You have a choice today between comfort and command. Comfort says wait. Command says move. Comfort says figure everything out first. Command says act and adjust. You're not here to rehearse indecision. You're here to practice power. And every time you choose the action of your future self, you shrink the gap between now and next. You walk faster toward the vision you claim to want. Not through fantasy, but through fidelity, faithful repetition of becoming. So from this moment forward, no more I hope. You decide. You declare. You demonstrate. You are the one who acts. You are the one who shows up. You are the one who says, this is who I am becoming, and then proves it. That's the switch. That's the mental model. That's the formula. And it starts with one new standard. From now on, I make decisions as if I already am who I'm becoming. Not when I'm ready, but because I'm readying myself through action. You no longer ask for the future to give you permission. You give it to yourself. Walk into the room like you belong. Because you do. Stand like someone with clarity. Because you have it. Speak like someone who leads. Because you are already leading yourself. You don't wait to become, you behave your way there. This is not about fake confidence. It's about real alignment. When you shift how you carry yourself, you shift how the world responds to you. You already know how the old version of you walks, shoulders slouched, eyes scanning for judgment, voice small, movement cautious. But now, your shoulders rise. Your back straightens. Your voice takes up space. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you've decided to express who you really are. You dress for the result. You don't wait for success to show up and give you a uniform. You wear your belief like armor, sharp, specific, simple. You speak with intention. You remove the fluff. You stop explaining yourself. You're not here to convince. You're here to create. You move through the world with rhythm, not rush. Your steps aren't desperate, they're directed. You are no longer performing possibility. You are executing inevitability. This is how you collapse the gap between identity and achievement. Every microchoice, from posture to pacing, becomes a coded signal, I am already on the inside. You sit differently in meetings. You listen without flinching. You walk into spaces and bring presence before sound. It's not about being loud. It's about being loud enough within yourself that silence becomes power. That's how professionals move. That's how leaders act. That's how builders live. You've waited long enough to feel like it. Now, you move because you decided to. The body believes the brain. And the brain believes the body. So when you train your actions to reflect the vision, your mind adapts faster. Soon, hesitation becomes unnatural. Postponing feels like pain. Delaying is no longer your default. Instead, you initiate. You rehearse ownership until it becomes instinct. Because the truth is, people don't follow titles. They follow tone. They follow conviction. They follow the way you stand, the way you pause, the way you enter a room like you have something to give. And you do. You carry energy now, not because you seek attention, but because you have attention. You've turned inward. You've claimed it. And now, you're expressing it with every move. Every morning, check the mirror not for flaws, but for form. Ask, do I look like the version of me I said I would become? And if the answer is no, you don't criticize, you correct. This is identity in motion. This is embodiment, not ego. This is acting as if, not pretending, but practicing until it sticks. And once it sticks, it scales. You've begun the embodiment loop. And soon, the world responds not to who you were, but to who you've decided to be. Look around you. Not in your mind. In your actual space. Every object, every scent, every sound, does it match who you are becoming? Because you can't act as if in an environment that drags you back. You can't walk like a leader in a space that screams yesterday. You can't speak your vision when the walls echo your old self. Here's the hard truth, environment trains identity faster than intention. You might journal every day, affirm your mission, visualize your goals, but if your surroundings contradict that vision, your brain slips. You start doubting. You start bending. You start living at the level of the room, not the level of your resolve. So you need to build a space that makes acting as if effortless. Start simple. Look at your desk. Is it clean, clear, powerful? Or does it remind you of procrastination and unfinished loops? Your space speaks before you do. Now look at your phone. Are the apps aligned with creation or consumption? Is your home screen a temple or a trap? Change it. Remove friction. Install focus. Set your environment to trigger the next version of you. You don't decorate for aesthetics, you build for behavior. Everything within arm's reach should push you forward. Books that reflect the mindset you're locking in. Quotes that speak to action, not theory. Music that raises your state, not numbs your edge. This is not perfection. This is precision. If your bed tells you to snooze, redesign it. If your fridge pulls you away from vitality, stock it with decisions you already made. If your schedule gets hijacked every morning, anchor it with rituals that fire without friction. Act as if your environment was a training dojo. Because it is. Every step you take from room to room should reinforce momentum. No more environments that argue with your goals. And yes, that includes people too. You need allies, not anchors. You don't cut people off out of arrogance, you simply stop rehearsing the same conversations with the same low-frequency energy. You lead by example. You stay kind. But you protect your bandwidth. Your space is sacred. Your mental state depends on it. The greatest shift you can make is not internal, it's external alignment. If your space says someday, your mind stays soft. If your space says now, your mind sharpens. Design like your goals depend on it. Because they do. When your physical world begins reflecting your inner decision, the outside starts responding faster. People notice. Opportunities arrive. Feedback loops tighten. It's not magic. It's resonance. You're no longer leaking momentum through clutter, chaos, or compromise. You're now absorbing momentum from clarity, contrast, and clean signals. The power isn't in the room. It's in how the room makes you feel. And how you feel dictates how you act. And how you act is who you become. So redesign your world. Make it frictionless to win. Make it impossible to forget who you are training to become. This is your dojo now. And every object, sound, and light is part of your evolution. You want validation. You want the applause. The recognition. The proof that you're on the right track. But here's the trap, if you wait for the world to clap, you'll never move. The applause you're waiting for? It's just an echo. And echoes come after the voice speaks. So speak. You need to rehearse the echo before it exists. You need to walk into the room like you've already been invited. You need to create momentum before anyone else confirms it. The world is reactive. It doesn't respond to potential. It responds to presence. When you act as if, you don't fake success. You pre-affirm it. Let me ask you, do you hesitate before saying your idea out loud? Do you lower your voice to avoid sounding too bold? Do you shrink your tone when speaking your goals? That hesitation? That's the cracked doubt enters through. Seal it. Say the goal like it's already decided. Say the next move like it's already in progress. Say your name like you've already signed it on something legendary. This is the mental switch most never flip. They wait to feel qualified before they speak. But qualification is built through declaration. Don't wait to feel ready. Create readiness through motion. You've already decided who you're becoming. Now speak like it. Walk like it. Create sound waves that match the identity. The world will eventually catch up to your echo. But here's the thing, until then, you need to generate that echo yourself. In private. In silence. In the shadows. Rehearse your speech before you're invited to the stage. Design your offer before the clients arrive. Train your mind before the stress hits. Most people react to life. You build it before it asks. That's the invisible advantage. That's what makes you look lucky. Because while they're waiting for permission, you're acting in alignment. The gym is empty. The journal is quiet. The microphone is unplugged. But you show up anyway. You speak as if. You move as if. You create as if the world is already listening. And then one day, it does. You don't manifest by wishing. You manifest by rehearsing the resonance of who you are becoming. The first echo is always internal. You say it. You hear it. You believe it. Then the external catches up. So don't wait for the world to give you permission to become legendary. Write the speech. Send the email. Practice the presence. Be the proof before the proof exists. Because once the echo returns, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the world. And it starts spreading. And you? You're already on to the next identity. You've decided who you want to become. But decision is only the beginning. Now comes the hard part, activation. Every day. No exceptions. Because identity is not something you declare once. It's something you trigger, repeatedly. You need a ritual. Not a routine. Routines are mechanical. Rituals are sacred. Routines drain when motivation fades. Rituals anchor you when the storm hits. Ask yourself this. What does the highest version of you do in the first 30 seconds after waking? Do they check their phone? Do they scroll for stimulation? Or do they command their mind before the world gets a chance? Design a ritual that triggers who you are becoming. It can be small, but it must be precise. You don't need 50 habits. You need one symbolic action that flips your internal switch. That reminds your system, we are now in identity. It could be a cold splash of water. It could be one sentence spoken aloud with full presence. It could be placing your hands on your desk, breathing deep, and repeating, I execute. Whatever it is, let it be yours. Let it feel sacred. Let it mark the shift. The world waits to see who shows up. You decide that the night before. You rehearse it in your mind. You feel it in your body. Then, in the moment, the ritual activates. There is no hesitation. No decision fatigue. No should I or shouldn't I. There is only entry. Here's the shift. Your identity is not found. It is forged. You don't stumble into discipline. You summon it. And rituals are the summoning circle. Want to write daily? Your ritual is sitting at the same desk, same time, same words whispered before typing. Want to train like a warrior? Your ritual is the song that plays before the warm-up, the way you tie your shoes, the way you step into the arena. Want to lead boldly? Your ritual is the mirror you speak into, the words you repeat, the energy you choose before the meeting starts. When others depend on motivation, you rely on programming. When others drift, you anchor. When others hesitate, you trigger. This is your advantage. Not visible, but powerful. Not dramatic, but consistent. And consistency is the ultimate credibility. The best part? Once a ritual is encoded, it no longer requires thought. It becomes muscle. It becomes memory. It becomes motion. You move as if, because the ritual demands it. Let the ritual do the heavy lifting. Let it carry your doubt. Let it guide your first breath, your first thought, your first action. Because after that, momentum takes over. And when momentum is initiated by identity, it doesn't break. It compounds. So today, design it. Name it. Simplify it. Repeat it. And every time you perform it, remind yourself, I'm not trying to become someone. I am reminding myself who I already decided to be. That is the power of acting as if. You've built the image. You've activated the identity. But now comes the part most people skip. You must prove it with behavior. Belief without action? Illusion. Identity without evidence? Fragile. You must close the gap between intention and motion. That's where the bridge lives. A single act done boldly, quickly, decisively. Something so real it shocks your system into alignment. This is your proof move. It tells your nervous system, this is not pretend. This is who we are now. Ask yourself, if I truly were this version of myself, what would I do right now? Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. You must force the collision between your old momentum and your new choice. The faster you act, the faster the bridge builds. The longer you hesitate, the wider the gap grows. You want to be a speaker? Record a 60-second message today, even if your voice shakes. You want to write professionally? Publish a short post today, even if it's imperfect. You want to become bold? Say the thing you usually avoid. Make the ask. Own the room. The goal isn't perfection. It's activation. Here's the formula. Identity ritual proof. You've declared it. You've ritualized it. Now you must prove it daily. Your mind only starts believing when it sees you act. Talk is cheap. Evidence is priceless. This is how self-trust is rebuilt. Not through affirmations, but through repeated courageous motion. When you move like the person you claim to be, resistance breaks. Fear dissolves. Doubt crumbles. Because action rewrites the code. Every motion is a line of identity programming. You want to become confident? Confidence is a skill. And the training ground is risk. Small risks. Fast risks. Repeatable risks. You can't wait until you feel ready. You must act as if and let readiness follow your lead. This is why the 5-second rule works. Not because it's magic, but because it eliminates the gap. It forces motion before fear builds strength. And once you move, the second breath is easier. The third action flows. The fourth builds momentum. Most people stay stuck in the thinking loop. They over-prepare, over-analyze, over-plan. You don't have that luxury. If you want to own the invisible advantage, you must become the kind of person who acts without approval. Act without applause. Act without perfection. Your new identity becomes bulletproof the moment you act when it's uncomfortable. Not once, but consistently. That's how you build psychological gravity. The kind that pulls opportunity toward you. The kind that reshapes how others see you because it's real. No more waiting. No more imagining. Today, you prove it. Pick the move. Shrink it to one clear action. Give it urgency. Execute. Then breathe. Smile. And say, I just became the version of me I used to wait for. You've moved once. Good. But now comes the test, can you repeat it tomorrow? That's where most people lose it. Not because they're weak. Because they don't have a structure. Motivation fades. Emotion shifts. But structure? Structure anchors identity. You don't need an hour. You don't need a miracle morning. You need 5 minutes. You need a discipline loop that's too small to fail. Here's your 5-minute structure. You'll run it every morning before your brain remembers it's scared. Minute 1, identity activation. Close your eyes. Breathe once sharply. Now say this out loud or in your head. I act as if I already am. Say it again, but mean it. Let it hit your body, not just your mouth. This primes your nervous system. It switches you out of survival into command. Minute 2, visual flash. Visualize one moment, just one, where you want to be fully that version of you. See the scene. Feel the weight of your body. What are you wearing? How are you speaking? Lock it in. This isn't fantasy. It's mental rehearsal. You are programming your instincts. Minute 3, risk trigger. Write down one risk. Something small, fast, uncomfortable, but aligned. Examples. Post something real online. Pitch the project. Voice your need. Ask for the meeting. Share your story. Now circle it. Say, I will do this before the day ends. You've turned identity into a contract. Minute 4, sensory commitment. Move your body. Stand up. Stretch. Clench your fists. Feel your pulse. Say one word, now. You've activated the system. It's ready. Motion is permission. Minute 5, proof planning. Grab your calendar. Find a 15-minute window. Block it. Title it, Identity Action. That's your ritual time. That's where belief becomes behavior. This structure is your invisible advantage. You're no longer chasing discipline. You've embedded it. Every repetition locks it deeper. You stop relying on mood. You start relying on motion. This isn't hard. What's hard is drifting. What's hard is doubt running your day. This loop kills doubt. It replaces it with structure. Structure creates certainty. Certainty fuels power. You'll no longer say someday. You'll say, I did it this morning. And the world will start treating you like that person, not because you told them, but because you proved it. Keep running the loop. Stack the reps. Sharpen the identity. You've stopped reacting. You've started becoming. You've done more than take action. You've begun replacing who you were. Because you didn't just move once. You moved repeatedly. You've looped belief into behavior. And behavior rewrites identity. Now comes the shift that no one warns you about. The world reacts. Suddenly people treat you differently. They listen longer. They hesitate before interrupting. They sense it, something in you changed. But that shift doesn't come from what they see. It comes from what you no longer hide. You don't shrink anymore. You don't delay what you know must be done. You've stepped into congruence. And with congruence comes clarity. You stop asking if you're ready. You start proving you already are. Look back on the last 11 parts of this journey. You've confronted hesitation, understood belief loops, used your body as a command center, practiced future congruence, committed through contradiction, set 5-minute rituals, activated your voice, designed small, visible wins, and looped them through identity. This isn't information. This is transformation. So what now? You solidify it. Here's how. Daily reflection question. Ask yourself before sleep. What did I do today that aligned with the future me? This builds tracking. You'll start noticing the micro moves that compound. Weekly identity reset. Every 7 days, write this. I used to believe underscore underscore underscore. Now I act as underscore 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 dot. Track your evolution. Let the page show your proof. Because doubt dies when met with documentation. Public microproof. Each week, share one thing. Not to impress. To affirm. Example. One decision you made. One mindset you shifted. One moment you acted fast. The world becomes your mirror. The echo strengthens the shift. You're no longer waiting for change. You're becoming it. This is the final switch. You stop trying to change. You start trusting your calibration. You've seen what happens when you act as if. Not fake it. Not force it. But fully embody it before results show up. That's the invisible advantage. Reality bends faster for those who act before it confirms. And you? You've stopped needing confirmation. You've created certainty through behavior. Now say it again. I act as if I already am. Then go prove it again. And again. And again. Until no one remembers who you used to be. Only who you decided to become.